studio rats.
Has them doing every drug you can think of, and then a lot of people weren't happy about that. Morons.
But they're morons.
You know, I'm not scandalizing at all. He went down his path that he chose.
Lyrics is a tricky one. Lyrics is a different animal. You know, you can't press a lyric.
It's all about the music and the song. Then egos get involved. They show you that you can be at the top and still, like, be scared your moms are watching you. And
same with saxophonists and guitar players, like, always play way too much. I'll take the first one and leave.
Doing the voice, like it's another instrument I'm playing. I used to be able to groove.
Yeah. You know, this is hard.
Cool, and in Italy, it was like a hit single. It was like, what? And we're playing in front of the Coliseum for 4 million people. Yeah, it was an honor. That was a great 2 weeks, I don't remember. So she's like legitimately assassinated a presidential figure being the dog. Good luck, have a good show. And it was great.
Frank, thank you for coming on the show. Brilliant
pleasure.
to have you here.
Thank
Fun
you, my
Lovin
friend.
Criminals.
That's right.
Been a fan for a very long time myself. I actually bought the record, the original record, when it came out. So I'm showing my age here now, but I used to have it. It was my car. You know, I had it on cassette in my car. So I thought it was a brilliant sort of driving, record. But I'd like to jump straight in on the new EP, which I absolutely love, which I think is brilliant. And,
which one's that? The Capistrano one?
The Capistrano sessions.
Yes.
So that's it's a commune in Italy. So I kind of said, what is Capistrano? I said it's a commune in Italy.
That came
it's amazing
from
the internet.
We had a day off in San Francisco when we were just on tour earlier this year.
Right.
And we went to this down in the Bay. There was an old vintage arcade games, loads of them, hundreds. Couldn't believe it. Like, coming up to like your early '80s, like Pac-Man and Star Wars, and then that was as modern as it got, and then it went right back to like 30s and 40s. These are odd games.
1800s, late 1800s, an arcade game.
And I was just walking around, and I just took a couple of photos. I didn't think anything of it, and then we zipped. We did this tour of America, which really spawned the Capistrano EP, and we had a good time there. And a couple of the songs were about being there and on that tour and stuff. And when it come to like, right, we need the artwork, what me and Fast have found over the years, if you've took a photo, we own it, so we ain't got to clear any rights. So he was like, well, we need a good photo. Have a look through your photo if you've got anything. And I was flicking through, and I just saw this amazing, it's an old back of a pinball machine.
Right.
And it's this lady who's the Capistrano cards lady of the game. It's this fantastic artwork.
It was a good, the first EP we released before, 9 months before Capistrano, the Roosevelt Sessions, was a picture on his phone. Because we had about a day to get the artwork done. It's just like, all right, that's a good street sign. And then his brother's an amazing digital manipulator, if you will, and he turns it around for us. But Capistrano is actually one of the cities in California, San Juan Capistrano.
Which we played.
Right.
So that's how
at a great, the Coach House, an amazing venue. So that sort of seemed to make sense for this.
That venue was crazy.
It was like you'd expect.
Remember Roadhouse with Pat Swayze?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a bit where the stage was probably a mechanical bull at some point, and it was. But a great show for the 8 people there, including my 5 family. But again, no regrets. We were listening to Capistrano and thinking, what a great.
Title.
Yeah, because it's the West Coast was good for us. We worked hard on the East Coast doing long drives, touring America.
Yeah, sure.
Long drives and stuff, and get to California. All it is Route 1 from San Fran down to LA. So that
great drive
made for a lot of inspiration. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But I love the feel of it. It's like it's such a positive, confident EP. The legs.
We needed that. Yes, that's good.
And the vocals are brilliant on it as well.
Respect. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
And
obviously
everything the drums, everything on it is just top drawer. I was like dancing around the kitchen because I spent all day yesterday listening to your music and sort of doing my background research, and it was just, and I was like, yeah, you don't want to see me dancing in the kitchen, but that's...
I'm sure it's a sight for someone to see.
That's when you know your music's good, when you can get
But I think in these times, these kind of dark times that we're going through, it's great to have music that feels that way. I mean, lyrically as well, I mean, I love the kind of homage to LA and to New York in it as well.
Writes the lyrics. He's always been an amazing lyricist as well as drummer, multi-instrumentalist, bass player.
That's the great thing about...
Chef.
I believe that's why Fun Lovin Criminals, why we have the sound that you're referring to on this EP, because between us two, we play everything. So there's that. You have to be able to play multiple instruments. You have to have an understanding of most genres of music.
Sure.
Because something always influences you to try and learn. You know, you want that hip hop bass sound. You listen to it. You want some strings. He'll listen to his classical. You want some blues. You know, we all draw on that. But at the same time, between Fast and myself, we can play all of that. So that I think that's what the overall Fun Lovin Criminals sound you're referring to. That's why it is like that. I think it's the understanding of all the music that we have. I mean, between the two of us, we've probably got one of the biggest record collections you'll ever see. So we understand a lot of genres, and we can draw off that. And I think the Capistrano EP is testament to that, because it moves from disco to a bit of Latin to a bit of funk. You know what I mean? It's got everything in there, you know?
Has even that George Clinton thing, like the bass line.
Well, that was, I mean, there was Parliament P-Funk when we were listening to that. There was Steely Dan, there was Eagles,
there was Dr. Dre, there was Snoop, the California, there was everything.
There's always a hip-hop skeleton, and Roosevelt Sessions also had a hip-hop skeleton, but we were listening more to Chet Baker and Miles Davis and Charlie Parker, and taking inspiration from there, just to kind of, you know, see where we're going with these sounds. That's why we released EPs, because those 4 on the Roosevelt Sessions kind of all fit together, where Capistrano is a bit more lighthearted. We were getting rid of a lot of bad energy, if you will, with Roosevelt, but musically we love it, and we love playing those songs.
I really love it.
But Capistrano is it's a little more wild. And
I love those kind of long brass notes, the trumpet notes, and I think there's a sax solo in there as well somewhere, isn't there?
Our boy Adge, you know.
You can't not love a sax solo.
I mean, I find with brass players, you're pretty good with it, to be fair.
They're morons.
But they're morons. But they're definitely an instrument that tend to do more than they ever need to do.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like, so when we say, we want some sax on this, Adrian, a great player, he sent me, I think it was 20 solo takes. And I literally just copied and pasted the first one, sent it to him, and deleted the other 19. I didn't even listen to them.
Right.
There were enough parts to pick up what we needed, and you know, props to Adge, he's wicked, because obviously he's played with us on stage as well, and with us doing this 100% Colombian tour, you know, it's important. Sax, the first song Up on the Hill, has Stuart Matthewman from Sade playing sax on it. So we wanted Naeem when he joined the band. I was like, you play sax too, right? And he's like, no.
I'm a guitarist.
Learn it. You have 2 years to learn it, but it's a hard instrument to learn. But like, you know, like you were saying, horn players send you tons of stuff, where like B.B. King on the track Minibar Blues, when we got so lucky that he said, yeah, I'll play on those boys' songs.
Send you 2?
Yeah, he didn't send us a lot. Yeah, it was 2. We chose the first one again, but
it's always the first one. Always.
Yeah.
It's just where you're not thinking. You know how it is.
Yeah, of course.
You perform as well. So it's like you record one part, I fucked that up, messed that up, and I need to do it again. But then you'll mess something else up to fix that, and first take is always the best.
I find.
Yeah, again, I love all the playing. Who played piano on it?
I'm a piano player.
Well, piano's great on it as well. Everything is great on it. It's like who's playing everything on this? It's so confident, the record. It sounds like you've kind of, you've come of age. I know it's a long time, but all the troubles I know the band have had, but it was like, at the end of the day, it comes down to the music. It's like all of the stuff, and then at the end of the day, is it any good what you're doing? And I think it's brilliant, It's like, it's very great,
I know having Naeem in the band now is such a huge, we knew it would be a lot of work, but we didn't realize his approach to it was very, he just went across the board. Yeah, it was professional is the word. That's word we don't use that often with us.
If you've been in a, this is funny because I'm going to use my dad as an analogy, like I always do. If anyone ever wants to come and work for the Fun Lovin Criminals, or be in a band, or be lucky enough to get in this craziness that we're in, then you need to go and work with my dad on a construction site for 2 weeks. When you've done that, then come and talk to me. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you need to...
See how long they last.
Yeah, you need to see how long they last, but you'll need to see how they can unproblematic something. If they can get from here to there, and they can find a way of doing it, the quickest way, that's what doing a job. Because if you drop a bollock on a construction site, you're in big trouble.
Drop a bollock, isn't that English for balls? If you drop balls?
If you make a mistake.
Okay.
If you make a mistake and you're working for my dad, you're going to know about it. And you're going to know about it at the end of the week in your pay packet. So it's very similar to this, you know what I mean? It's like...
But Naeem has been... With his approach with the guitar stuff, we would say, you know, Steely Dan, we're thinking like a Steely Dan kind of vibe in this boy, and he just hits it right then and there. He doesn't come with somewhere where you got to nurture it. So to know that it's like we can leave that to him now, the freedom, it's great. He knows what his role is, which is great. And that's why live, it's even better. And that's the thing, is to be... You know how it is. Again, you're a musician, so I'm preaching to the converted, but being in a studio is one monster. You get on the road, it's another thing. And
same with saxophonists and guitar players, though. Always play way too much. I'll take the first one, now leave.
You know, ask him what instrument doesn't ever play too much, and it's drums and or percussion. That's timpani.
That's the instrument that makes you dance, so that can have all the time in the world.
But unlike, yeah, go ahead.
And who mixed it? Who mixed the record?
We mix it, and then we send it to a finishing mixer. It's like we buff it up enough where there's a little bit of a reflection, then we send it to him, and then you can clearly see every reflection. That's what Tim Latham does.
Tim Latham, we've worked with, Irishman,
great
man.
Him,
he worked with us from day one. You know, when we got our record deal, we had overproduced the shit out of our demo, because that's what you do with your first recordings. When we went into a meeting with the label with all these producers, we asked for Bob Power, who had done, you know, Shaka Khan, and done a bunch of bands, bunch of hip-hop stuff too, and Tim Latham was his assistant. In that meeting, he said to us, these guys don't need a producer, they just need a really good engineer. So that was, since then, this guy's like the fourth member. So in the studio, or if we're sending tracks to him in Long Island or wherever he is in Maui, he's mixing it, and it's consistent. So it's really important for the band that he does it, and we work around his schedule.
Yeah, he's very good. He's very good at spreading a mix out, which is important.
And mastering. He's mastering.
He can master, but his spread of a mix is phenomenal. You know, you can literally sit there in between two speakers and you'll be like, right, the strings are exactly there. The saxophone's
mathematical.
He's
won multiple Grammys.
Out,
You know, he did the Hamilton soundtrack, so all of Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah,
he's done De La Soul, Britney Spears, like he's done everyone.
Yeah, it sounds fabulous. And, it's like, I think, isn't it, again, you produce and then you reduce.
Yeah, well, he's the reducer. He is definitely the producer.
Get rid of all the stuff that you spent months on, and that's the bit that matters. But, I mean, so I love that record. And sort of going back in time with your process, so has the process changed a lot since the early days of how you make a record?
It's always changed. It's always evolving, I guess is the better word for it. But just because we've had members that have left the band, you know, most recently a big one, but it's still, the band must go on, the show must go on. So, you know, as far as having production duties and all that, you know, with messing with samples, piecing stuff together, you know, Frank and I have been doing that over 20 years now. So that's sort of where I see when Frank joined the band, that's when, okay, this is the proper band. It just took a couple albums, couple different drummers to figure out what our sound is. But now it's, you know, whether we're doing Roosevelt or Capistrano or mixing a live record, whatever it is, we kind of just sort of in the moment of what we're vibing or listening to or experiencing to make the sound.
As far as the process, what you're asking, it's probably changed the most in the last 2 years. But for the better, because what you've always had with this band, well, what you've always had for the last 20 years of this band, is two people that love to work in the studio, love to spend as much first in, last out.
Right.
That's me and him.
Studio rats.
Studio rats. Yeah. And we'll, you know, we take it super serious. We have fun, but we take it very serious. It's got to be the best. Our quality control is like, you know, I'd like to think it's up there with someone like Prince's quality control. It's got to be right, or we don't put it out. And I think that now you have the two people that always like that process from the beginning, being in the studio, writing. And then what you also had over the last 20 years is pushback. And the pushback would always come from the guy who's not in the band anymore. And so, but me and him always seemed to want to work it out, or if he had an idea, I'd want to nurture you. Oh, you really want the drum pattern to go like that? I don't think it should go. Just try it, Frank. All right, I'll try it. That's how you should work in the studio. That's how you get the best out of somebody.
Collaboration.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that because it's not my idea.
Right.
That is not what it should be about.
It started with it being about the song, like you were saying before. It's all about the music and the song. Then egos get involved, and I'm not even talking about the big ego. I'm talking about other egos over the years, and then it gets away from what's important for the song. And I think it's important when you mix a lot of genres of music that you keep that formula. You keep the bullshit out of the formula, so you can just. It's not the easiest thing to mix Latin with hip hop and with guitar solos and then rapping, and then all of a sudden you got sound effects.
Yeah, but this process, like the Roosevelt, apart from writing lyrics, is a tricky one. Lyrics is a different animal. You can't press a lyric.
Sure.
You can't sustain a lyric. You can do that with all the instruments that you play. Lyrics a little bit different. So, but there wasn't any pushback. So the process has changed, is to answer your question. We like to encourage each other's ideas, and then hence you get this, which, I've got to be honest, I think Roosevelt, just as much, if not more than Capistrano, for me, is some of the best writing Criminals have done for easy 20 years, easy.
The one thing I really like about the Capistrano sessions is the vocals are up front. Because the one thing I love all the albums, and I grew up with these records, especially the first one, which is a huge record, and it was huge in Ireland, it was huge in England, it was huge everywhere.
Me too. I was the same. I grew up with it.
It's just a brilliant seminal album, a very important record, and but the vocals are very low. I mean, I was listening to them last night, and I'm like, if you listen to them again, like the vocals are really low. Whereas on your new record, you were much more confident. It was like, and you were up front, and you weren't hiding anywhere, and it worked.
Change.
And I thought that was the right move for whatever that's worth. But in the sense of like, this is a confident band who's kind of come of age. So you've kind of literally, somehow, I could be wrong, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from the very first record, the Come Find Yourself, you've like jumped from there to here, you know what I mean? And there's a bit in the middle that's great as well, but the confidence is kind of there, properly at the first album, which is obviously, you're young, you're making a record, and now it's come back again now, like fully. I think you seem happy and content in where you are and what you're doing, and you know what I mean. You're kind of happy. You can hear it in the music. You can hear the confidence, because obviously when you've been through breakups and you've lost Huey, which is obviously a blow, but you've triumphed. At the end of the day, it's how the music sounds. If it sucks, it sucks. I couldn't sit here and look you in the eye and lie to you if I didn't like it. I just think it's brilliant. Okay, you lost, a founding member, but it doesn't actually matter at this point, if I'm being really honest, for me as a listener. I listened to it, the last 2 days I've been listening to it, and it's like, it just sounds terrific. And job done. It's over. Thank you. That was then, and that other stuff is important too. Because going back to that first album, it was a very important record, and you broke ground that nobody else broke at that point.
We felt we fit in with a small niche of bands that were doing different things. It seemed to us like they weren't making rules. Like Massive Attack wasn't making rules. Roots Maneuver wasn't making rules. And I mean, tons of other bands. It wasn't Britpop, it wasn't.
Well, that's what it really was. That's what the Fun Lovin Criminals were, and I can talk as the absolute expert, because at that time I was just a fan of the band.
Amazing.
And it was the antidote to all that bullshit, that 3-chord. Said maybe. It was the antidote to all of that. So I think the cool kids were like, this band's great, this album's great, and they bought into it, and that's what it was. The Fun Lovin Criminals, without doubt, were the antidote to Britpop, which was a saturated market in the UK. So that's
and
how it is.
Everything's going to evolve. We never realized, all the tour buses and rides and plane rides where we're watching Spinal Tap, that it is the day-to-day playbook. It's just not funny when it happens in person, for real life. But in a movie, it's just funny watching it. The Bible or whatever book you read, it's flawless. But looking back on 30 years since Come Find Yourself, when we were in our 20s, fucking running around. It's crazy. Whenever, especially when it comes to drummers, This one he hasn't combusted yet. He ain't going to.
But, I do combust sometimes if I'm in a bad mood.
We could relate to so many different stories.
Drummers in gardening accidents,
Yeah,
drummers in any accident. That's the problem. They're pushing the envelope. They're the mavericks of the band.
They are. You have to realise that it's the one person in every band that hits things for a living. It's not a normal thing to do.
But as Joe Strummer said, you're only as good as your drummer. And I agree with him on that.
Absolutely.
Well, Joe Strummer, he's another one who's on our throne, or whatever.
Well, the clash. I can hear the clash in what you do.
Thank you. And that's the first time in 30 years someone's really kind of said it. And it's not us trying to be the Clash, but it says, we love the Clash. Our dream, when we realized we met Joe Strummer and actually were doing shows with Joe Strummer, and then knew Mick Jones and we're doing shows
Audio
with
Dynamite.
Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah, of course.
That was like, all right, Fun Lovin Criminals' job is to get them back together. Where they're not like enemies. We're producing stuff with each other, even though they weren't in the Clash anymore. But we wanted to get the Clash back together. They wanted to get the Clash, but it just never happened. That was our goal. Obviously, it couldn't happen because Joe passed away. But for me, when it comes to what band would you say is close to Fun Lovin Criminals, not necessarily in sound, but attitude and everything,
Ethos.
it's the Clash. I'd say the Clash.
Yeah, I would say so too. And
we're not so political. We're a bit, I'll admit, comical with our storytelling. They were obviously much more political, but I think there was just an attitude to how we approach doing our music and hopefully performing it. So.
I mean, but the production and the arrangements are incredible on that first record. Like, I mean, the Appalachian kind of, I don't know if it's a dobro that you used on that intro bit on Fun Lovin Criminal, the first bit, the guitar. I don't know if that was done on a dobro, was it?
We're not going to talk specifically about that. Where that came from, because we'll leave it at that.
All right, we won't say no more.
But the thing is that, well, for us, it's like the Wild West sampling. In the early 90s, it still was. You had Paul's Boutique, you had Megatop Phoenix by Big Audio Dynamite. Those two records came out a month apart, Beasties, Paul's Boutique. And if you listen to them, there's 20 samples in every song.
Sure.
And obviously their producer's like, well, it's obviously, I don't think there's a law about it, so just release, just do it. But our records, we love the chop ups.
So was it obviously you did the recording, so you went to, you got your deal, and then was it the label was, oh my God, we got a lot of samples to clear here.
This is the interesting thing is every song not only had a bunch of samples like that, but it also had movie dialogue because we were watching so many movies, and we still do to this day. But so the demos had that, so they heard it. It obviously grabbed the label's attention where we got the cliche, let's make a record, which is amazing. It's a blessing, but. Then talk to the sample clearance people. Yeah, are those all from movies or is that your voice? And then we have this like moral question to answer, which is like, it's all us. Everything's us. Everything's us. But it sounds like Jack Nicholson in one movie. No, that's us. That's it. Tim Latham. Tim, tell him how we manipulate. So we had to lose all that, which made the sample people like, yeah, now we got to get on to the music samples. They're like, oh, God. And we dealt with some, but it's all part of the getting that sound down that you can
part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big time of sampling.
It's a fun time. Now it's...
I used to have like a NES 1000, remember when they did the archives, and everyone was sampling everything. I spent like months sampling records, especially for pop records and hip-hop records that I was working on as a producer. And it was a lot of fun. And, you just hope you get away with it or manipulate it a bit. And sort of
someone else will deal with the legal side of it.
Yeah, but... So then you met, through that, obviously, the big one, Scooby Snacks, and so that was Tarantino you were dealing with.
That was Quentin. Yeah, we never met him.
He's a co-writer on the tune, isn't he?
Co-writer, which is cool. He wanted it. It was going to be Fun Lovin Criminals and Quentin Tarantino. He preferred, or his lawyer. I don't know the specific. Preferred the word with instead of the and symbol. So he got a with, which for us was great. What was it like being in the studio? It was like, well, we were in our studio. He was in his.
He
was making a movie set, and just telling his lawyer, but great lawyer. He was up for it. He's also a great creator, a great artist, Quentin, where he realizes he probably trusts his lawyer, trusts his accountant, but he's going to keep a close eye on him. It's very important as opposed to a kind of pop sense of, I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's my team, and I don't really know their names and stuff. We got to be a part of everything, especially nowadays. There's a lot to protect, just because of the dark ages we're in, you said, but also because, we've got something we love doing so much that we're not going to stop doing. People want to hear. People are nostalgic of 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Well, that's another big thing about, a band that's been going for so long, is keeping the legacy going and keeping the fans coming out and rejoicing in an album that got them through a divorce or the birth of their kids, or be have people coming up, we got married to this. It's part of their lives as much as it is ours. So it's important that we go out and do these tours. I mean, at the minute, we're doing such a big one with 100% Columbia, and we're touring, you know, pretty much all over the world with that. And it's great because fans, it's a lot of people. Actually, I know you go on about the first album, and I agree, it's amazing. But it's a bit of a fan's favourite. A lot of people like the second album more than the first. So to go out and play it in its entirety, you know, and get down to places we've not been for a long time, New Zealand, Australia, and you know, it's pretty cool. I find that it doesn't matter if there's been coming and goings with different musicians. If the vibe's right and you're bringing out new music, which we did straight away, it's important then to show your respect to the fans and play music they've grown up with. Do you know what I mean?
So are you playing the album?
The entire album, start to finish.
Great.
That's the first part of our set, and we go off and we have a drink and pick ourselves up off the floor, and then come back out and play some of the big hits from the first record, the third album, the fourth.
Which is different. You know, when sequencing set lists, we you want to come on strong, and we get, hey, the party's started, let's get going. And then we go on our little roller coaster ride. Where 100% Colombian, because we made that, you know, I wouldn't say mistake, because we said start to finish, which we like doing. We did it for Confine Yourself, I think 6-7 years ago.
Right.
And it was great. And it was easier with that album, simply because there were a lot more young, energetic, testosterone-filled, up-tempo songs and loud Scooby snacks and FLC and passive-aggressive. 100% Colombians were like, all right, let's fine-tune our sound, add a little, maybe an element of sophistication, an attempt at sophistication. And so we're performing these songs live for the past few days in Greece, and it's like, oh wow, it's like the first 15 minutes of the show is sort of
laid back.
Well, it's like the trailers at the movie,
right?
You know, and then the movie begins, but I like the trailers. It's a vibe, and in Athens was a vibe. It's just we're having fun, man. You know,
that second album I thought was different than the first one in the sense that, and I loved it as well. Obviously, you had the hits "Love Unlimited" on that, which is the Barry White changed my life.
I love the word.
You know, I mean, look, it's important. You know, the thing about you want to be successful in the music business, you got to have hits. You know, and you've got hits coming out of your arse.
Played, definitely.
And that's brilliant. You know, I mean, you'll never last if you don't have hits. You know,
and that was a time when we could get on the radio, which was great for with Radio 1 even, which is a big help, and in other places in Europe, especially Holland, Belgium.
Yeah.
We got really lucky where radio kind of was playing. Okay, they, like Frank was saying, we fit in there, so this little gap, I put them in for that bit, which is cool. It's harder nowadays, but I mean, I love it because, I was walking down the street in Brixton, and these two girls came and they're like, "You're the Barry White guy," and I did not understand the reference at the time until they said it, and that was great. That's cool.
But that record as well was different than the first one in the sense that, like, the first one you were mixing genres within a song.
Oh yeah.
This is my, again, humble opinion. You were kind of lots of things within the same song. Whereas in the second one, you had the rock songs, but then you had the kind of more smooth.
There were the soul jams.
Yeah, the small jams. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it wasn't all mixed up where you had like passive aggressive, where literally you're going from smooth to metal in the same song, you know? So on the second record, you didn't really do that, which I liked because it was like it was a rock song or it was a kind of a hip hop jazz tune.
They all have, passive aggressive was, I think, the second one we messed with, and when we were just messing around with ideas, and there was something great about it. And we tried to reproduce it a few songs. There's a song on Living in the City called How It Be, which still all stays in sort of the soul vein, but it's almost like there's 3 parts to the song. Like Passive Aggressive, there's 2 parts to the song with a little bridge. Right. That was our way of saying, how do we go from the mellow shit to the loud one with that? I mean, 100% Colombian, but that's the thing with songs like Up on the Hill, and I think All My Time Is Gone, and Sugar, and so that there's this kind of, I think we really liked Hall & Oates a lot. During that record, so it kind of made sense to do that. Well, we put all our nut into that first album just because we had our whole so many years to be messing around getting these ideas and inspiration. So I
was kind of hearing a bit of Bob Skaggs there as well.
Yeah, Bob, Lowdown is always going to be one of our.
It's still a great tune. I listened to it this morning because when I was listening to your music, I was getting distracted because thinking, I think they were probably listening. And then I'm listening. I've got to get back to the to my job. But it had me all over the place. I was jumping around different things. Even rock. I was listening to a riff and that Huey plays. That sounds a bit Deep Purple to me. And I was like,
There's going to be
the classic
direct
rock bits, you know?
Yeah,
so you start going off on all these tangents, which I think is amazing, because I think maybe that has something to do with the fact that the band were so big in Europe and in the UK, and maybe, is it fair to say, not as big in the States?
Which, I mean, it's US is even harder market to break, you know what I mean? Because radio at the time in the late 90s was getting your Corns and Limp Bizkits and your Sublimes and your Fun Lovin Criminals and college radio. They're like, throw that to college radio. But it was hard for them to play a hip-hop song like Love Unlimited because there's like a guitar solo in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work? Or a rock song with rapping on it. That was so hard. Europe and in England, in the UK, whatever, a song's a song. If it's good, it's good. Let's just play it if they like it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought, and this is not being disparaging to your American brothers and sisters, but I felt always that, say, in the UK, it was very multicultural. People don't really care where you're from, what you do, once you're good. Whereas in America, for a long time, maybe it's changed now, it was like it's either rock or it's soul. It's like they don't really like you mixing it up.
You got to gain their trust.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a long time.
That's the thing.
I mean, it came in with Aerosmith and Run DMC was a shock for, you know.
A lot of people weren't happy about that.
But it was amazing, and things changed at that point, really.
I think it's more acceptable now, but obviously, you know, we're always evolving, working on our issues, and let's hope we can love one another.
We only played at a place. We got told we were playing in Philadelphia. This is going back about, I don't know, only about 8 years ago. 10 years ago, maybe?
About 45 years?
70 years ago. But it wasn't in Philadelphia. It was in the outskirts of Philadelphia, and it was a strange venue. Mm-hmm. And I remember we started playing, we played a song, and the song kind of finished, and it was kind of like, you know, we don't play that kind of music here. It's kind of like that.
Wow.
We're like, oh, okay.
Depends on where you are. There are some of those stories, but we're going to keep the darkness behind us.
We'll keep the darkness, but what I'm trying to say is you're right. They like to pocket things in America, especially in the media and in the music. You know, you tune into this station and you're going to get, you know, classic rock all day. You tune into this station, there's not many that do that. There's one or two,
they want to
especially
give
out
you
of LA.
everything. America wants to give you everything. So if you want a salad, but you're not that hungry, it's funky. It's going to be the size. It's massive. It's going to feed a whole town, you know, out here in Eastern Europe. But at the same time, you know, we have a solid little fan base because we met every single one of them when we played. We played in decent-sized venues, good venues, happy with them, but promotion wasn't there, you know. So the hardcore FLC fans came to those shows, and some were better than others, but at the end, it was like, wow, we got people to this day now we're speaking to, talking to, you know, often, because our social media, we run that. It's another thing. We're like, we don't want a team of people running our stuff from some office in London or something, or New York or LA or Miami would be a great place to have them from. God knows what they'd post.
So when you were growing up, you know, you obviously, you know, maybe it was because of you and Huey hanging out, you had a huge record collection because there's such a broad range.
We had CDs. We didn't have the vinyl. I had all my vinyl was still, you know, upstate New York where I grew up in my family's basement or something. I just never brought it to Brooklyn yet. But we had stacks of CDs, I remember, and a little keyboard sampler and Sonic. You would probably remember.
Yes, of course, yeah.
That was we did the first 2 albums with that. So.
I heard there's a couple of other little keyboards I thought were in there, like the Casio, the CZ230S. Do you remember that?
That was
with the
my
little
first
speaker
keyboard,
at the
was the Casio CZ230S.
had a little speaker on the end.
Yeah. It's
I used to have one of
phenomenal.
those.
It had a sequencer drum machine.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's hard to find them. They're worth a lot of money. I've got one that I need to get repaired, but it's, amazing piece to start learning.
I know a great repair guy if you need one.
We've got England, they got some wizards there, like real electronical wizards who got their little what is it, the torch, looking like they're in orbital, but they're opening up everything in the dark and they're going through, they're speaking to it. These guys are like the Yodas of fixing stuff. It took 20 years to find them. There was one in the middle down in the Cotswolds, and now we got another one close to London. I mean, if you're close to London, that helps. So
did you do a lot of listening sessions before, like when you started out as kids? Obviously, I mean, you were just. What age were you when you started the Fun Lovin Criminals? You're probably like
93. I was 20.
Yeah, so
21.
You're obviously sitting around a lot, listening to a lot of records, and so was there a lot of that going on while you were forming the sound, or was it how did that process?
We worked in a nightclub, and this owner of this nightclub, this Canadian genius, Peter Gation, he owned a bunch of great nightclubs in New York City, the Palladium and Club USA and the Tunnel and the Limelight, which was a church. It had all these different rooms. Every night of the week, like Sunday was the big rock night in the big room, but the upstairs room would play house music. This room would play hip hop and reggae. And we were working there. So you're hearing so much music that when we would go home, we wouldn't even listen to music. We'd go to sleep, get up, and then go enjoy New York City and get back to the club to work. So that obviously really helped. But just growing up, I listened to a bunch of different music. I mean, yet this dude, eclectic as hell, with stuff. So when I met him, and he was actually DJing after parties for us, that's where we met, which is, he was DJing in these venues, and it was sick because I'm looking through his CD collection going, he's one of us. Because there'd be Run DMC, and then there'd be Sepultura, and then there'd be, hip hop, and there'd be funk, and it was meant to be.
So legend has it that when an act didn't turn up, that you guys would sit in and
all
fill
the time
in,
at Limelight. And the one that really helped us, and that's why it's always props to the band Korn and Jonathan and all the boys there, because, don't have much in common with the sound, but their support band didn't show up. And he didn't have a problem with us coming on and playing, and we were up there with like a DAP machine and 3 microphones like idiots, but we did The King of New York with Lottie Dottie, and then during his show, he's up there doing his Lottie Dotties and stuff, so. And it helped because then we had a metal friend who introduced us to, who was kind of a scout for EMI, and that guy came to one of our shows, so the connections were all there.
And did John Gotti ever hear the tune?
His son did, and as long as it was taken with respect.
So that's nice.
All respect to them.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes they wait a few years.
The stories are all there, because at the time when we were watching Goodfellas and loving that movie, in the early 90s.
Greatest movie of all time in my book.
John Gotti is there living it for real, and you'd be going to work at the club, and oh my God, it's like a car on fire. What just happened? It just blew up out of nowhere. It blew up. And you're like, all right. But then it happened like 3-4 more times. Whenever there was like someone going to court or something.
It blew up.
Part of New York. It was part of the New York excitement, and that's what it was. And I'm sure it still is. I haven't lived there, so I don't know. But it was a great city to grow up in. And
well, I was there in the 90s quite a lot, and visiting. I'd go there for 2 months every year. Go for every November, December,
playing
January.
Tramps, right? You probably were playing. Must have.
I was more into kind of live music as well there, but also just hanging out downtown. I had friends down in Delancey Street. I used to stay.
Oh, wow.
I used to stay with, and that was such a mad city at the time.
That section was definitely. Yeah.
You remember we used to sell stuff on the street. Everyone would just put stuff on the pavement to sell. And
they have tables now, at least.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine.
And all selling weed now. With everything else.
They didn't at the time, and I remember I was with a bass player friend of mine from Chicago, brilliant bass player called Derek Short, who now lives in Japan. But anyway, I used to stay with him, and he used to say to me, "Rob, man, they'll try and sell you any shit in this town." And then we're walking, down the street, Delancey Street, and this guy just sort of jumps out in front of us and opens up his coat and goes, "Do you want to buy a baby alligator?" And then Derek just goes, "I rest my case."
Yeah.
True story. He was trying to sell us a baby alligator, little plastic box.
That's brilliant.
So it was kind of mental, but I loved it. Well, the first time I got to New York, I thought, this is the place for me. It's changed a huge amount since then.
Oh, it's super clean. It's like Disneyland now. It's super woke, super clean.
I used to have to walk down the middle of the street late at night when I was down, because all the rats running into the bins.
The small dogs, the small dogs in New York, the big ones, yeah.
But it was an exciting place to be. And
it's a great place. I'm still writing songs about that place. We love it so much,
It's in the DNA,
So you grew up in Brooklyn, was it?
No, I wasn't born or raised in New York City.
Oh,
okay. I'll say that just so people know that. But I've spent the majority of my evolving, youth living in Brooklyn and Manhattan. And, as a kid, I would come into New York City all the time on the Metro North train, 45 minutes up, get that last train at 12:35, or you're
So where were you living? Where did you grow up?
Just north, in Westchester County. It's a town called Chappaqua that now is most famous for Hillary Clinton lives there.
Okay.
So that's great. My friend's mom actually ran over their dog.
Oh.
So she's legitimately assassinated a presidential figure, being the dog.
That's terrible.
We don't get into that. That's no association with me. But I would be in New York City all the time, because obviously it was, even though I couldn't see it from my house, you knew there was the metropolis. So,
I've always loved that place as well. I've been going there over 20 years. I made a record with an old band from where I was from in Leicester. We went over there same time that Fast was in the studio, and we kind of shared ideas and come in and listen to each other's tracks and stuff like that. But I have been in and out of that place for 20 years, so it's one of my favourite places. It's easy to write songs
And you grew up in Leicester, obviously.
Leicester, massive, yeah.
But Leicester, I got to say, and people knock Leicester all they want, but, you know, if you've been and hung out in that town with the people of the Shire of Leicester, it's the quality place. I could not recommend it.
New York, but the buildings ain't so big. I can get anything in Leicester in 5 minutes. That's because I'm Frank. I don't think the mere mortal that lives in Leicester can get anything. I don't know about that.
So how did you two meet up? How did this?
Nottingham Rock City,
yeah,
which is one of the top venues in the world, ran by an amazing organization of friends of ours, the Big Red, and he was DJing. He had this book of CDs that was wicked.
I was DJing. I made sure I worked that night because I knew about Fun Lovin Criminals way back before the majority did. I had a really cool guy who ran a record shop in Loughborough. It's called Blue Note Records, the shop was called. And I said, I used to go in, you got anything cool, anything new? You got any white labels, you know, like, he'd go, yo, check these out.
Fine Young Cannibals, check them out.
Yeah,
it happened all the time.
Passed me a CD, and it was really old. It was one of their first EPs, Grave and Constant EP, I think it was, that the EMI put out. And I started listening to it, and I was listening to it for like months, and I was telling everybody, oh, it's this band, really cool. Fun Lovin Criminals, you gotta check them out. And it's like, I've always found that. I've always been that guy. And then a year later, they'll get on the radio, and then everyone starts telling, yo, have you heard this band? I'm like, you fucking idiots, I was telling you about this band a year ago. Right. You know what I mean? So I was early on the scene with them. But then, so when they come to Rock City to play this show, I was like, I'm going to make sure I work this night, you know, DJing downstairs before the show and after the show. And I was walking in the corridor, and Fast put his arm on me. Yo, what's up, dude? What are you doing here? I said, I'm DJing later. So I met Fast first, and yeah, that was it.
He was blocking the hallway, because the hallways downstairs of Rock City are like this wide. You get fucking stuck in there.
So
I was waiting for a drug dealer as well, I was actually doing.
So the drummer you had, so what happened there? He just wanted to move on to something else? And
Irish.
Yeah, lazy probably.
No, he's not. He wasn't Irish. He's Italian, but
the girl he met was Irish.
The girl he met was Irish, and I'm not scandalizing at all. He went down his path that he chose. It ended with him falling down a bunch of stairs and breaking a wrist that led to us having to replace him.
Oh, okay.
That's the truth, and it's unfortunate that it happened at the time, but in the long run, you know, it's led us here to this beautiful place. So yeah, he went, then Mackie came in for a few years, which is great, but we always knew Mackie was gonna come and go when he pleased, and in 2003 he did, and at that time Frank was his drum tech, and then it was a no-brainer, because it's like we're sitting there, what are we, overthinking things, which was not something we do as a band. We kind of like to just get ideas down, don't overthink it, don't do 50 takes of a guitar solo or trumpet solo, God forbid. But yeah, let's get Frank on the kit, and let's take him right to Turkey on the beach and play in front of like 20,000 people, and he's only run through the songs a couple times. Good luck, have a good show. And it was great. It was great because he knew it. Because there's something, I don't know if it's with most bands, it probably is, you could tell me, but it's like, oh shit, we haven't run through all these songs and stuff, but there's something about, even if you're a band with an intro, your intro starts, boom, you're in show mode, you know, I guess like in any sport, it's kind of like the boxing, the ring.
It's time to go.
So it's great how we have this kind of reflex action to a lot of our music, because it is in our DNA. It makes the show easier for us to have fun with everybody, not be like just...
Well, live music, that's the great thing about live music, is that it just goes. You do it and you've sent it off.
Yeah.
That's it. You got no say in it then. So that's what I love about live music. You know, if you do something different, or something wrong, is it different or is it wrong? I don't know. It's gone. So it's done.
Camera will catch
Stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Nowadays you've got everybody doing this, but back in the day when I started playing in all my early bands, you didn't have that. So it was
a better connection.
Free.
It was a better connection.
But I think with playing live, I've said this before probably on the podcast, but you're in a band, it's a gang, and and you play for each other first, and then you play for the audience, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to get that chemistry right between you, and then you interact with the audience, and the energy goes backwards and forwards, and that's the whole thing.
Vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why we do it, for that energy
Big
and
time.
for that positive energy to be moving backwards and forwards. We need it. It's kind of...
We're lucky that with us in the past 2 years since we've been doing shows, that we don't have to worry about that first thing of everything being all right for us. Technically, that's the sound check. So, and whatever, however great your sound check, it's always going to be different. We accept that, but we know we can go on stage, and it is about, all right, let's let this crowd know that we're going to do this for the next 90 minutes. Let's have a good time. Let's forget about the bullshit, and let's gel with this music. So that's it's not hard. It's just when you play to certain people that they, everybody's different.
So when Huey left, was it sort of a bit frightening in the sense that could you really, because you have, I mean, as I said earlier on, you've totally nailed the vocals, they're brilliant, there's no more to say on that. But was it a worry at the beginning when you're thinking, can we really pull this off on the vocal end, or were you confident you could do it from day one?
We knew we could do it.
Yeah, we knew we could do it.
We knew this day was going to come soon, so we were prepared.
I don't think Fass was totally ready when we started talking. He was like, well, maybe we should audition somewhere. And I'd been thinking for a few weeks, I was like,
brainstorm.
This won't work unless you're the singer. I said that to him. He was,
the few great ideas were...
I was like, no. Well, Johnny Depp. We had Johnny Depp.
He was the only one after everyone we thought about. The only way this could work. But we realized very soon after the joke was upon us that then we're trying to replace Huey, who was obviously a huge part of this band's history. I mean, we're not admitting that, but it would be, you're replacing him. And then it's not going to be about the music, which is what we want. Yeah. It's going to be about Johnny Depp as the singer for probably 3 shows. Then he jumps on tour with Joe, Bada Bada Bing Bong, you know what I mean? So it's...
I thought it was the only way it would work. I remember having a conversation with my girl, and I was like, it won't be credible unless it's... And then I'm thinking, how the hell is he going to do that? Because he's playing bass with his feet, he's playing trumpet, he's playing keyboards, he's playing bass.
I know I could do it until the moment we announced that I was doing it.
Yeah,
then I was like,
then he had no choice.
But, it's a work in progress, which feels like in the early days when we were kind of getting started with things. I know the songs, I know what I'm playing, but obviously I have to concentrate a bit more because being the singer or being the whatever you would lead, doing your, I see it as who's doing the verses and the choruses. It's important, but it's people come to our shows, they know it's how it is. I see doing the voice like it's another instrument I'm playing, So some songs, Huey's voice is a bit higher, a bit lower. He's more spoken word. So I wouldn't say I'm trying to imitate it. I'd say I'm trying to emulate it in the sense that fit it to what the song is. I'm not up there going to try and act like I'm Huey, you know what I mean, or any of that. I'm fast, I'm going to be me, but now I'm doing the vocals, and it's great because Frank's got...
Well, this I was going to jump in because that, for the longest, for 20 years, I was kind of the supporting lead vocal to Huey. We'd hit choruses and I'd power the semitone down in a BV or the semitone up, depending on what song it is, or I'd be the guy in the studio, like, come on, Frank, work out the harmonies, let's put the singing on it. So it's not really changed so much. So live, it's kind of like I support his vocal in the choruses and lines. There's 1 or 2 songs where we'll duo it all the way through, and it's good because it supports it. But it's a different animal, which he found out in the first year. I remember we finished one rehearsal, he looked at me and went, this is hard.
I used to be able to groove.
Yeah. But it's took you a while.
Now I can't do that. Now it's like...
Yeah, he has to but it's cool. He has to put a shift in.
His vocals are really supportive, like he's saying. Naeem's got a great voice too, so he's filling in. This is how it was in the original days with Steve, Steve had the similar approach with vocals. So when Mackie joined the band, kind of lost that. So when Frank came in, not only was it, we got the vocals how we want sounding now, but now we also have the ability to be able to get more involved with how we do vocals because there's someone who's done the 3 6-part harmonies because he loves Freddie Mercury and Prince and all these singer extraordinaires. So that was a new, again, an evolving technique we were using in the studio and live that, now we can kind of do the same again, so...
I think you've got a stronger voice than Huey when it comes to especially to the singing
You're
parts.
too kind.
No, I'm being really honest. On the singy, on the part where you have to use a lot of melody, I think your voice is much stronger. Like, do you sing... We've Got All the Time in the World. Do you ever do that live? Because I'd love to hear you singing that.
Not yet. So do we, but that we knew, okay, we have a chance now. 2 years ago, we said we have a chance to not only learn all these other songs that we've recorded and that we like playing. At some point, we played the majority of them, but to put to rest some of the ones that people have always heard. And that being a song, like you were saying earlier, a wedding song. It's happened a lot, but it's also funeral songs. So that song is super mixed emotions for us, but we'll get to it. There were so many songs we wanted to play that were, and now doing 100% Colombian that it's, and also, with all due respect, that was a song that, you know, was a close one for Huey to sing live, I think. Because it's Louis Armstrong, you know? We never recorded it. The label, right as we're about to release Confine Yourself, says, you know, a lot of people are covering James Bond. It'd be great if you did it. And we're like, all right, cool. So, you know, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, one of my favorite Bond films, and that song's amazing.
Hal David wrote it, I think, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. And it's just, we did our approach to it, which is cool. And in Italy, it was like a hit single. It was like, what? And we're playing in front of the Coliseum for 4 million people for their big centennial with these huge Italian artists. And then for some reason, Fun Lovin Criminals miming We Have All the Time in the World.
U2 as well, right?
Yeah,
you did a U2 tour, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, that was. I mean, just props to the Edge and the boys. I mean, it's just...
Were they nice to you?
They're just like, they show you that you can be at the top and still like be scared your moms are watching you and if you misbehave. They're just quality, yeah, to everybody from the top down to the people cleaning up after everyone's gone. They have an element of respect that's cool. So
I've got a good U2 story.
We got loads of them. Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure that we love them.
Yeah, I was when I was a kid, like 16 in Ireland. I was in a band. We were doing quite well. This band Sweet Savage, and we were doing great at the time. And we had this band supporting us on one of the shows, and I kind of watched them and I was being very disparaging. They're rubbish. They're never going to do anything. Literally laughing at them. And then, but they came off the stage and they were kind of standing around, and they had a manager and they had a sound guy and a monitor guy, and I was feeling, and they looked really tight, and I was kind of like, I was getting a bit jealous. I remember looking and thinking, yeah, God, it was you too. I thought you were never going to do anything.
Well, I mean, it shows you.
So what do I know?
You got that one wrong, didn't you?
I did.
Quality,
but it was just jealousy. And years later, I remember hearing The Unforgettable Four, and I had to just admit they're genius.
Amazing. I love them. I judge my music or bands I like, I judge them by how many 7 inches I still collect of theirs. And I have quite a few U2 ones, because they're just... Yeah, great bunch of dudes. Larry, from what the story we heard, Larry was the one who chose Fun Lovin Criminals.
Really great.
But we knew that their support bands over the years were always really cool bands that were coming up. So, yeah, it was an honor. That was a great 2 weeks, I don't remember. Playing stadiums every night, it's a bit...
Well, you've been through the mill. I mean, obviously, with you're signed to EMI, and then EMI goes wrong, and I mean, it happens with everybody. Funny enough, when I was...
It was a great label, so they went out of business.
Well, I mean, it's a tough business. I mean, funny enough, when I was I said earlier on, getting distracted when I was listening to your music, I started listening to Bob Skaggs and Lowdown, and then I started reading about Bob Skaggs, an hour later, and then he went through so many acts that he actually was big in forming Toto. He had the guys from Toto in his band when he was touring with. It was actually Steve Miller who taught him how to play the guitar when he was young. So it's a brilliant story. But he had deals and ended up busking for a while, through Europe and stuff. Like he, in deals, out of deals, until Silk Degrees, which is the big record for him. But up to that, it was really sketchy how he was going to move forward in his career. And I mean, we've all been there, so it's
such an ongoing story with probably every artist, apart from the odd superstar that just, when they hit it, they were just a superstar forever.
Right.
But there's probably a similar story, what you're saying, with just about every band that's out there.
We've got a good one. We could make a book out of it.
Yeah, cool.
Well, you should,
There's just stories. Story. I like funny stories. I like reading music books. I mean, it's like whether it's bass culture book about Jamaican bass players, it's like the best, funniest book I've ever read, because it's just... There's just unique people.
I've got a Robbie Shakespeare story, but I'll tell you later.
We love Robbie. I mean, Jamaican music is a big part of the skeleton, I think, in our DNA, that we have a reggae band as well that we play with it, but we're so Jamaican, we never release or do anything. But we have put stuff out. But we just love...
Yeah, I worked with Robbie and a long time ago, and he was really funny. We had this... I was engineering the session, and I had this producer that I was engineering for. So Robbie came in, took out his bass, and he's like the producer. He's this cocky young kid. I didn't like him very much. his name will remain nameless at this point. Anyway, he was like sort of that, yeah, I want you to play this, Robbie. Play like this. And Robbie goes, yeah, man, it's more like a guitar line, you know. I was like, no, I want you to play it that way. He's like, okay, man, you know. So he starts playing it, and then the guy goes over and starts hitting the notes on Robbie's bass like this. No, I want you to play these notes here. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm like sitting back on. This isn't going to end well. So he's like, he starts hitting the notes, and Robbie just looks over at me and goes, yeah, boss. I said, excuse me? Yeah, boss. Mute the bass. Excuse me? Mute the bass. So I just muted the bass, pulled his cable out of the socket, put his bass in his case, and walked straight out. That was it. That was it. It was done. It was like, you don't tell Robbie Shakespeare how to play his bass, but anyway. And the guy's like, "Where's he gone?" I said, "He's gone. I don't know. He's gone."
You blew it. You blew it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have respect for
they're absolute
the tools.
Yeah, it was. You know,
Sly and Robbie just.
Well, they were one of the best rhythm sections of all that stuff. Grace Jones and amazing, you know. I mean,
the analog era, there is no denying. You know, I mean, digital era, Steely and Clevie, I would give it to, but we love Jamaican music.
Yeah, me too. I love dub as well. I've been out to Jamaica a few times, and I used to be managed by a Jamaican as well. You might know him actually, but Ronnie Laws was his name. And he sort of. He managed Mark Morrison. Do you remember Mark Morrison? All Saints.
From Leicester.
Yeah, and Don E as well, the whole mob, and because you know Beverly Knight as well, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Because I produced that Beverly recently. Actually, I did a record with her.
It's a small world. That's the thing we're learning. That's whether
Beverly's amazing. Oh my God,
she's probably one of the best British R&B singers that's ever been.
Yeah, hands
solid
down.
character, consistent. Her integrity levels are through the roof. You know. She's not going to hide behind managers and stuff, and that's so important. I think if you want longevity.
Oh, we had her on our track.
Really?
We did it. That's what I'm saying. Small world.
I've known her for quite a long time actually, and Naeem as well. But yeah, she's wicked. But we've worked in the studio with her. She's the ultimate professional.
We have a band, or a little side project, Radio Riddler. It's a reggae group. We did a whole album of Prince's Purple Reggae soundtrack.
Fantastic.
But all reggae. So we got Bev singing on Baby I'm a Star. We've got Suggs from Madness on Let's Go Crazy. And it's basically all his friends he's met to form this amazing little reggae album.
Sinead
O'Connor's on a track, and I Would Die For You. And Ali Campbell singing the title track. And that journey for us, we released it. It's on Spotify and everything, I think 15 years ago now, and have done very little promotion or touring for it. And now it's done the slowest possible grassroots, evolution from no one knows it to where now it's
90 million.
Some ridiculous number of views on YouTube, which I don't, care about the numbers.
Is it on the Fun Lovin Criminal Spotify page?
It's not on the Fun Lovin Criminal. It's on the Radio Riddler Spotify.
That's what it's called. It's Radio Riddler.
See, that's why I wouldn't have seen it. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
And that's fine. And
you'll love it, Rob. You'll love it.
It's something different that you go, all right, because we love reggae so much. A couple summers when we weren't doing anything with FLC, when we necessarily we wanted to do stuff, but it wasn't going to happen. Let's start a reggae band so we can keep busy. And we toured the world with it. Yeah. We went all through America with Ali Campbell, UB40. We went all through Europe and had a great, great time.
And what about, if there was anyone now you'd love to work with, like young, new artists you'd really love to collaborate with? Anybody?
I don't know. I mean,
I'd like to do... I like these guys called the Skinner Brothers. They're awesome. Check them out, Skinner Brothers. I'm always we worked with Roots Maneuver once, and I'd like to work with him again on something.
We got a lot we want to do with Roots Maneuver because he's up there in the top quality.
He's just getting back to fighting health. He's been a bit poorly, but it'd be amazing because he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, UK rapper of all time. So it'd be great to work with him again. Do
you guys ever think of maybe just working on productions as well with other people, producing other artists? I'm sure you probably have, but
we like it, but it's
don't get me too excited. I'd rather produce our own music.
And then record it, and then release it, and then tour it, and do that. And then obviously, keeping our families in our lives.
Yeah.
So we don't want to have too much, but there's
touring is hard work, though.
It is.
When it's so hard.
It's so hard. Yeah, the traveling part sucks, but some hotels are better than others. Some breakfasts are sometimes better than others. You know all the rules.
It's harder as you get older as well.
Sorry?
It's harder as you get older. Yeah. When I finish the show, I want to go straight to my room.
Yeah.
Can't say I do all the time.
Before I would stay
Well, you have
out
to if
and
you're
party.
singing, you know.
I asked them because him and Naeem were both amazing singers. It's like, oh, what can I do to do it? They're like, well, you got to stop smoking. I was like, that's not gonna happen. So what can I do to help? You need to get more sleep.
Stop drinking.
You got to start eating better. I was like, Mom, I'm not so bad.
Yeah.
That's not,
We're going
tell me something
Popeyes
I
after
can
this.
do. Tell me something I can do to actually help. Have this tea every day then. Some throat coat.
Throat coat's good.
It's on
and
Amazon.
obviously,
15 cases of it.
when I go out and I've got a lot of singing to do at a show, you'll hear me do my half-an-hour warm-up. I've never heard him do one.
No, mine is just not shutting the hell up before the show. But
Well, true, he talks. I mean,
it's a way of dealing with nerves.
Beverly Knight. I was out with Beverly Knight one time. I went to a show, and she takes her voice.
Oh yeah, she's very disciplined. Yeah.
And I remember going into catering at a show, and she had a little plaque round her that says, "I'm not being rude, but I won't be talking until after 2 p.m." So when she wakes up in the morning, she doesn't say anything to anybody because it really strengthens your so
I'm not wearing a plaque like that anytime soon. I'm
not making wear a plaque.
That's not going to happen.
But getting back to Beverly, I mean, recently when I worked with her, she was just phenomenal, man. I know
you think to yourself, don't you?
God,
where's that
so
voice
good.
coming from? Because she's tiny.
And every take was perfect. And then
Every
she does
take.
all the harmonies, 3, 4, 5 harmonies, and she tracks them up. And it's like a machine.
It's the next level, but I mean, an organic mechanism, if you will, because I mean, it's just so natural and it's so easy for her that it's like, that's awesome. And then the fact that she's doing so well around the world, it's...
Yeah, she's a beautiful girl as well.
Yeah, she's a beautiful person.
There's good people in the world with the integrity that you can depend on. She's one of them. She's on that list.
I got to say, though, Sinead's one of the best experiences I've ever had in the studio.
Wow.
No ego, no problem, nervous, cute,
Loves
shy.
reggae music,
shy,
too.
you know. Told me some crazy stories about Prince, 'cause I'm not the biggest Prince fan ever. But, yeah, just absolute... What a G she was,
She
amazing.
didn't have a good experience with Prince, though, did she, from whatever?
No.
She didn't, but at the same time, she...
Evolved.
Yeah, after she told all the stories, right at the end, she just looked at me and went, but he was a genius.
Well, I tell you, she does a version of He Moves Through the Fair with the Chieftains. Have you heard it?
I have heard it.
Oh my God,
It's
you'll
next
weep.
level.
I swear to God, every time I
it's
hear
next
that
level.
tune, I weep like a child. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. And I was playing it for somebody recently. Her delivery was amazing.
She was a one-off, man.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll tell you now.
Absolutely.
Go back and pull me somebody up does her vocal like that. You won't find someone.
Yeah, she went through the ringer, but
Yeah,
her
she had
soul was
problems.
untarnished. So,
But boy, she was.
so
she
we
was
worked
amazing.
with enough people that we can close that chapter and just say,
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's so hard to think of, or new and up and comers. I don't.
It's hard enough sometimes working within the unit, let alone going working for another unit. You know what I mean? When producing.
Yes, I don't want.
Because I think the productions are so brilliant. It's like I would have thought you would be getting a lot of calls saying, "Will you produce our stuff?"
If I did, I'd say no.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
fair
it's
enough.
not. It's not.
I don't, but I'd say yes.
I'd
Depends.
say no.
We've done it before, but if it's someone who's established, I think we'd have a better shot with them for there being a good collaboration that could evolve to something better or a one-off thing. But it's the up and coming, the new ones.
Yeah.
We're not in this business to try and teach people. We're self-taught musicians, and for the most part. And the last thing I would say is have someone else show you how to do what you want to do. You know, I think it can help you. But I don't know. I was never.
I'm the same. It's like no one's going to know. No one's going to know your stuff better than the person that's wrote it. Yeah, good producers might be good at bringing a string section in.
And that was no
scoring.
disrespect.
No,
because you're a musician who
I
did it
agree.
as well. You did the production stuff, so you know how it can be great. It can sometimes be a waste of time financially or creatively or anything.
Completely.
A great producer won't get in the way.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's the.
So,
yeah.
but a lot of producers do totally get in the way and fucking screw the music up. So, and I wouldn't want to be that person because I know how I am. I'd hear something and think, that's whack, that's shit. Give me the bass, I'll record that. Give me it. And then before you know it, you're making...
It's your record.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to do that to a bunch of people that have been together for years, have put all their blood, sweat and tears in something, to be the guy sitting in a similar chair to you with sunglasses on going, nah, that ain't right.
Well, that's where Tim Latham was great for us because he knew that we thought we knew what we were doing.
Right.
But he always had this saying of going, you don't need to know what you know, you need to know what you don't know. And he's like, that's how I can help you with the things. And he'd show you, and it's great. And again, we were totally up. We are, even to this day, today, right now, learning things, learn about all those old radios and stuff back there. So that's what life's all about for us.
And I mean, the one other thing I love about your sound is the cinematicness of it. You can tell you watch loads of movies because you can just by watching them, because of everything is a picture. It's a scene of a movie in the.
Which is why we want to get into Abbey Road to get those instrumentals. This is a big thing. I mean, the closest we have is all our little backing tracks that we play with. We don't shy away from that. To get our sound on stage, we have little bits and noises coming from places, but people come to our show knowing we're not, up there just with a DJ or something like that. It's a band performance. But movies are essential. And we've made little movie collages, if you will, of the best parts of movies and tried to show those at shows like before we play and stuff. But legally, anything having to do with movies is much harder than audio. Like sampling movie dialogue or even trying to play. These are our favorite movie clips, and it's a great video to watch, but venues are like, oh, well, you have to pay, send us a list of everything. Okay, well, that's not happening. There goes that old art. Can't do that, but whatever. Someone else's stuff we're mistreating.
And you ever watch movies and write a song about it afterwards? I mean, it sounds like a silly question, but...
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, I can watch a...
Donnie Brasco, you watched.
Donnie Brasco, yeah. And then we took a couple of the ideas and fed them into the tune with Fast, and it was one of the best ones.
Yeah, it's the first song. It's the first song people heard of the new Fun Lovin Criminals. If you need a label, but
there's
always watching movies. We're watching movies on tour too. Back in the day, we'd have a briefcase with every adapter and cable so we could plug our laptop or whatever, our DVD players, Laserdisc players we bring on tour. Now it's just everything's on a phone.
He's always got a hard drive full for the movies, for tours when we're in the back of buses and stuff. So
Spinal Tap is always on that playlist.
Oh yeah, I gave it to. I worked at Roachford recently. You know Roachford.
Yeah, I love Roachford.
I produced some stuff for him, and I gave him my Spinal Tap DVD with the extras on it. He hasn't given it back yet. Still on the tour bus somewhere.
No, get it back.
It's in the. It's on the tour bus. At least it's somewhere, though. I don't mind.
I have it in the digital sphere. I had to because it's just one of our Bibles. But I mean, there's like a 4.5-hour version of that called the work print, which I ordered on eBay. It's like £8 now because no one's selling their little copies of it. It's amazing. If only the quality was good, because it's 2.5 hours, or just over 2 hours of all the drugs they did that they had to cut from the movie. So Spinal Tap, the original work print, has them doing every drug you can think of, and then a 10-15-minute scene of what would ensue. But you can't, the quality's so bad you can make out what they're doing and what they're saying, but that's what I want to see, but no one will ever see it. That's tragedy to me, because it's part of rock and roll is obviously this excess, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be drug use, but for Spinal Tap, I wanted to see that. The bit where they smoke weed, they all smoke a ton of weed, even the driver, what's the actor's name? The limo driver, famous actor. And then they order 50 pizzas. And
he's the guy, when you've loved and lost like Frank. And they just do the window up in the lip.
But it's classic. Anyway, so that's an essential film. But even everything, sci-fi movie, we love movies. We don't care what it is.
No, I'm similar.
Apocalypse Now is a big one.
Japanese martial arts movies are massive.
Benny
Bruce Lee, But one of the best experiences, and amazing. One of the best experiences ever for me as an older sibling to my younger brother. My younger brother is just the most phenomenal musician, like unreal. Designer, everything he touches, he's just brilliant at it. And he's big in the game, he's had massive hits last year on the radio and stuff, and he's smashing it at the minute with his white cutie stuff. But over the years, he's kind of just followed in my footsteps, as the big brother left the house, I left him a drum kit, I put a keyboard under his bed, I bought him his first guitar. So then he starts learning as a young kid, and then he's just got massive, rolled over, you know what I mean? And I always used to say to him, at one point, you've got to do one thing with your older brother. He's like, what's that? And you've got to watch this movie called Spinal Tap. he went, oh, what's it about? Well, I'm not going to tell you nothing, I just want you to watch it. So the years go by and I'm busy and he's busy and we never seem to ever watch it. And then we were on tour about 5 years ago in New York, and we got this little apartment, and we put Apple TV on, and there it was. And we had the night off, and I looked at him and I went, tonight's the night. So, all right, cool. So we set some cameras up in the room that he didn't know about, and we watched it. Honestly, it was just amazing. He was absolutely rolling on the floor, laughing, and it was just the best thing. And he turned around and he just gave me a big hug, because we spoke about it for years. It's like a really emotional moment. Sure. But like, and then he looked at me and it was so funny. And then I said these words to him and he just couldn't believe it. I went, you know when Liam Gallagher saw that film, Daryl? He says, yeah, he went, he thought it was real. And he just looked at me and went, someone be that thick? I says, yeah. It was just, I'll never forget as long as I live. It was really funny. He went, seriously, that's true. Liam Gallagher thought that was a real tour video.
I have to say, I've met him and he's a sweetheart.
Who, Liam?
Yeah.
I love him.
You know, I like him.
So
you know,
funny.
He is funny.
I don't even think of him musically. I mean, I appreciate it's very popular, but the comedy element of how he does his social media is next level, and it's just, I appreciate seeing him. Him and 50 Cent are up there. The stories you hear about Liam from Noel are just, like that one there, the one about how Liam went to Noel's house, you probably heard this, but if you haven't, it's just the best. Liam, I love you. But it's like he goes to Noel's house, and Noel's got a spoon and a bottle of champagne, right? And he's like, mate, why do you have a spoon? Oh, well, it keeps it fresh. Cool. So the next day, Noel goes to Liam's house and he's got a spoon and a carton of milk. To me, it's just a classic. It's supposedly true. Whether it's not, it makes for comedy, which I think in the dark times, you gotta be funny.
Yo, you go back and
humor's a big one.
Put on YouTube the 90s best Oasis interviews. It's such a great watch. I mean, both of them. Both of them are very funny, not just Liam. Noel's funny as well. But just how they handle journalists and they just don't give a shit. It's great.
Well, they were kind of, they were playing a part, they were playing a role. Because every time I've met him, he's been extremely sweet and nice and sort of really respectful and, dare I say, kind. You know, it's not a word you'd put with. But he's actually a really nice guy. And he's like, they're playing out the whole, all right, mate.
Yeah, the swank,
but really, Noel I've met a few times. I don't know him. I've only met Liam a couple of times. I know he's not a mate, but he was really respectful and sweet. And I think he's been through it as well, like breaking up with
he went down that path. I never did.
And I mean, I know, but it is very. And they're both still talking about it a lot. And I mean, obviously, you guys had the big break with Huey. Was it painful at the time? When it wasn't,
because it was a slow building.
It was painful the 10 years leading up.
Right.
It was a slow build, but it resulted. What it resulted in had to happen, or else it would have combusted everything. So, Frank and I had no intention 15 years ago when he joined the band, or today, 20 years ago, or today, that we want to keep going. This is something we're going to do. This is my passion that I learned, thank you in part to Huey when we were working together, but it's such a good time. Why on earth would I want to stop doing that?
Yeah, and I think, well, hopefully he feels the same way as like me as a listener.
Doubtful.
It's like, well, honestly, I think time changes people.
If people are willing to accept it.
Yeah, I think one day, I remember I had a little fallout with a guy I was working with. We worked together for years and we did a lot of stuff together and we had a bit of a fallout at the end, and we kind of, nasty one, pretty harsh words said and all the rest of it. And there was about 6 months gone by, and I was sitting at home and I was listening to the tracks we did, and I was just saying, there's some really brilliant stuff here. And I texted him, I said, you know what, man, we did some really great stuff. And he got back and said, yeah, we did, didn't we? It was brilliant. And I kind of dissipated all of that other stuff. And, he kind of went back and it was like, you know what, let's just try and park it up. And we don't work together anymore, but the love is still there. And we built up a lot of love working together. Because there is, I mean, when you're a band of brothers, unless you've been in a band that tight, it's like being married. You know what I mean? It's like it is a kind of a marriage of sorts. And when you break up, it is tough. And you have to move your way forward. You have to find a new way forward for everybody. But it is nice at the end of the day if you can kind of park it up and just say, you know what? Oh, fuck it. It was just stuff.
It was a relief. I don't know how the healing process will work. I'll check with you in 30 years. But at the moment, it's, we're just trying to stay busy and creative because, COVID and all that nonsense was pretty much a big stop of 3 years of your life. I'm pissed off, you know, for my child's life, wasted, you know, with that nonsense. So it's a lot of years of creativity we couldn't express to people that hopefully will want to hear it. That's what we're doing. That's what I like about all these other people putting out music and movies and all that now. It's like for 3 years to cut people off of art and culture is insane. So
yeah, it was a mad time.
So I'm happy now that there are all these, you know, new Sylvester Stallone movies out that aren't necessarily great, but I want to go see a Sylvester Stallone movie every 2 years.
So what's happening now? What are you working on now? What's the next?
The tour is a major. It takes so much energy to do a tour.
Of course, yeah.
And so, you know, you've toured. You've toured
work.
America, so that you know.
That's all I want to focus on at the minute.
And the next record, when do you think you'll write a new record?
Don't know.
We've got the vault, you know, that's one thing we have in common with Prince. He had a vault that's obviously priceless. We have like a small vault, like a hotel vault. They give you a little
semi-priceless.
Filled with a memory stick of a lot of beats and ideas that are in just the right place for us to build upon them at the right moment. So there's just, this tour is something we've wanted to do for a few years. You know, Frank and I were always talking about it, and songs we'd never played, which as a band,
That's nice to do again.
We're doing it, and you know, the few product things that could come from it, whether it's a live recording or video, whatever, yeah, they'll come.
I think that the more I think about it, and it was from the first night of the tour in Thessaloniki, I was thinking that's what we should do next. We should put a live record out and the reason why I think that is because obviously got one of my oldest mates now that's also in the band, and my other best friend is now the singer, and his voice, all the fans are hearing him sing it, so I want them to be able to put that on in the car or put that on the headphones or on Spotify. So I think for me, I think that's something we need to think about.
It's something we are thinking about.
Because I think that's important, to hear it as it is now, you know?
We talked about something yesterday that we cannot get into, which is just stupid. But that's the fucking idea.
What was
the one I was talking about? When you were going about the teleplay.
Oh, fuck off, I'm not doing that.
That's happening. And it will be the moment where
it's more of a
it's something involving a tour,
but it's like a
small theater, which is like a Starbucks back little raised 1 foot stage. No music,
just two chairs. Two chairs like this, and
like between two ferns with Zach Galifianakis, but not that.
We read for each other.
Why not, man? If not get AI to do it for you, I'm sure they can create it.
The music will be there, and we love doing the shows. So, the shit like Athens was just a great connection. We've had great shows, we've had good shows, but there's been those few shows which we haven't really felt we've had for like 20 years, where it's like everyone was gelling. Like the crowd were obviously doing whatever they got to do when they're getting ready to come out to realize what we're all going to do, and it was great. In Bristol, Thekla, on a boat, a little boat venue in Bristol, was one of the best gigs I've ever done.
Yeah, that was a good gig.
Edinburgh, you know, a place of many memories. You know, even in Dublin, you know, which we haven't played with the new band.
We will be. And when
we did Cork, it was wicked.
December.
So kind of on that tip, like, so best show, worst show.
Worst show was in Germany. I think it was Germany. Darmstadt. It was
Darmstadt
about 2005.
Legal reasons we can't get into
Can't
that.
Get into that. That was awful.
One person loved it. One person loved it.
One person was on the floor at the end of the show.
Oh, God.
There were issues. It happens. We're not a band that ever had bust-ups or fist-fights, at least with each other. You know? And whether it was Huey with Steve or Mackie. Well, no, on stage. On stage, but we try to go on stage understanding, let's keep the selfishness put away, because these people have come out, spent hard-earned money to come check out a band, and you know, the ones coming out to the shows, no, they ain't coming expecting Huey to be there or Steve-O to be there. If they are, they're not, they're at the wrong show. So we're lucky that people come out, and there's a love for the music, and that's something we realize with the fans now.
Well, I think the band's name is bigger than any individual in the band. I know that sounds like a cliche, but...
absolutely.
And cliches are good, though. Let's make a record. We've had so many cliches over the years, and most of them you can attribute right back to Spinal Tap, where it's a comedy. That's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, the record is terrific, and it sounds great on every level for me. And that's job done. That's the end of it. It's like all the other stuff falls away, because if that doesn't work, none of it works.
Coming from an Irish producer, we take that as a major compliment.
Thank you. Well, it deserves it, because it's always a challenge when you have to meet this adversity. You have to find a way forward, and you found a way forward. That takes balls as well. You didn't sort of, you're still in the ring. You never put me down, sugar.
Yeah, never Raging Bull. Ray.
Remember that in Raging Bull when he's on the ropes there? Sugar Ray just keeps punching, and he just won't go down. He just won't hit the canvas. And I dig into that, myself.
Ray, you never knocked me down, Ray. What?
Yeah.
You never knocked me down. We were quoting it yesterday, but not that part.
Such a fabulous movie, Raging Bull.
Again, Scorsese just goes on and on. I could go on and on.
I know, because I've never met him, but I worked a lot with Jack Bruce.
Never met him either, but...
and they with Cream, and he used loads of Cream songs in the...
His music supervisor, yes, in all his films is amazing. Even the new one, which I think it's Robbie Robertson. It's probably the last bit of music he did before.
Yeah, the film's no good, though.
Film's good. It's just I don't. This isn't in a quote, but I'd be proud of this quote to leak. But I saw that Killers of the Flower Moon, and I love Scorsese, so I loved it because it was him, and Leo's cool, or whoever's in it's cool. He's got his team of people he works with, but it was like Schindler's List without the payoff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're sitting through 3 hours too, and the cinema's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I will check it out. But listen, guys, you got a show tonight, so better not keep you for too long.
Well, you make sure you're coming to the show.
Yeah, I'll come to. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm definitely going to be there.
Do you drink tequila?
I'll drink anything. I'm Irish, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, what a dumb question. Sorry about that. Erase it.
Never trust an Irishman who doesn't drink. My father used to say that, but it's probably true.
That's a good quote.
But listen, thank you so much, both of you, for coming today.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, man. It was brilliant. And the best of luck with the rest of the tour. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
We'll talk to you in a year. We'll be like, oh, it's the worst fucking idea. No, it's all good. It's all good.